Hey, welcome to the Ozzstar channel. On today's fun project, we've got this 05 E150 cargo van behind us. The problems, you know, they're all there. We're just trying to knock them out one at a time, so I figure I might as well film a video on this one. The ABS light is on, so we need to get in there, check the codes, diagnose what's going on, do some testing, and hopefully we can fix the problem. So thanks for stopping by. So I'm in the van. You can see the ABS lights on. I've got my scan tool hooked up. Let's go to auto scan. Oop, push that, there we go. It's gonna do its thing here. Shouldn't take too long. And then what I'll do is I'll set the camera and the scanner down on the floor. This is a wireless model. And then hopefully you'll be able to see the wheel speed sensors here. So we've got, and then number 2 is the ABS. We've got 3 faults, so let that finish scanning and we'll get those trouble codes. Okay, so all right, let's go to that one, click OK. Read codes. I hear the ABS module cycling, it's doing its thing. Okay, so we've got C1155, C1158, and a B1676 battery voltage out of range. That's not worried about that, but anyway, left front wheel speed sensor input circuit failure, and then your 1158 here is a left front wheel speed sensor coherency fault. So it's incoherent, huh? Anyway, let's escape out of this. Let's get some live data. And I'll pull up, we want the left front. Where's right front? And then let's get the rear differential. This just has the one sensor for the rear wheel speed sensors in a differential. So let's show this stuff here, show that, and then we want to drop these down so we'll be able to see them better. This is live data. I think it starts off, yeah, they're at 3 miles per hour, so you can see where it says 3. So I just pulled the van out and we're gonna go down the road here. Now the brake pedal's doing some weird stuff, and it's probably, well, hopefully at least due to this wheel speed sensor. This is the first thing we got to check. I know this thing does need brakes. I checked the pads, but right now we're interested in that top graph is the left front. So let's see what we get here. So I'm up to on the speedometer I'm doing about 12, and yeah, that's about right. You can see the rear diff and the right front, they're reading 12, and our left, let me put the window up, the left front is staying at 3. So let me get a little more speed. I'm at 20 now. Hope the camera's not too shaky. Let me get it up to 25. Now I just hit 30. Well, not quite. Let me go where I can get a little more speed. That left front's still stuck at 3. So it's definitely acting wonky. That's no good. Let's bring it into the garage, pull the wheels, and we'll start doing some further testing. All right, so let me just put this clause in there real fast. The other day I had to go to the tooth mechanic, otherwise known as the oral surgeon. I had a cracked molar in the back, so if I'm talking a little bit weird, I apologize. My mouth is all swollen, the gum, the jaw, whatever. So anyhow, that's my excuse for slurring and stuttering today. But anyway, I wanted to run this by you real quick before we start diagnosing. There's basically 2 types of wheel speed sensors. Now, there's a lot of information out here on YouTube, and you can search that. But basically, there's a passive wheel speed sensor, and there's an active wheel speed sensor. And the reason you need to know that is if you decide to test it, not just throw a part at it, how to test it and what to look for. So the passive is a variable reluctance and type sensor, and the oh man, see, I told you, man, the jaw pains is crazy. The active sensor is a magneto-resistive type, magnet resistive. So that is sends an electric or power is sent to that type of sensor. Okay, now South Main Auto Repair did a good video on that, on a Ford Lincoln, same thing. Video, it was a while ago, so I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember sensor testing from 2 years back or whatever. But anyhow, you can find that. I'll leave this link to the video in the description down below. But this one here has a this particular model has a passive wheel speed sensor, and I'll explain that to you real fast so you know how to test it. It's usually on older vehicles, maybe 03, 05 and older, depends on the make and model, would have that. The reason the newer cars have the active speed sensors is because they're more accurate. So the telltale sign, not telltale, but what I can pretty much tell you is if you have a passive wheel speed sensor, that scan tool is going to show a bias 3 miles per hour, maybe 5 miles per hour. So even when it's parked like this, standing still, where the active is more sensitive and that reads down to 0. So that's a telltale sign there. This is most of your passives will have a 2-wire. What we'll do is we'll go down there and I'm going to show you how to test for that, real quick. It has a tone ring, all that stuff. We'll go over this during the diagnostics. I don't want to bore you with any details you don't need to know and hear it more than once. So anyway, let's get down there and check it out. So this is our known good on the right front. Got the wheel off, and I want to show you where, the actual speed sensor's here mounted behind the rotor hub. But the wire comes up along here, the harness comes around the brake line actually, and it's clipped on, and then right up here is our connector on the frame. So I just take a pry tool, one of these, and there's a clip back there, and let me just pop that off, because what we want to do is we want to unplug this thing to do some testing on a known good. So that's off. Sorry if the camera's shaky. And then now we can get to the connector easily. Sometimes if these haven't been off for a long time, they can be really tight. So there's a little tab right here, right there. You just push that down and then pull the connector apart. Okay, this one wasn't bad, but they can be stiff with dirt and crud. So first thing, if you're having a problem, like we say, this one's good, look for corrosion, look for obvious signs of, could be damage, maybe a rock or some kind of metal clip the wire, something like that. So that's what you want to check for first. But now that this is off, let me put you on the tripod and we'll do some testing. So I've got my voltmeter set up just on a 20 volt scale, because we're looking for 12. So the quick way to tell what you have here, especially if it's a 2-wire, if it's a 3-wire, you're probably going to be active, but this is a 2, and I'm on the harness side here. This goes right to the computer, right to the PCM or the ABS module, wherever it goes. I'm not really concerned about it right now, but I have my ground wire to the voltmeter hooked to ground, which is a metal part on the body, on the chassis. And now I'm going to take this positive lead, and I'm going to, here's our meter. I hope you can see that. Right now we're at 0. So first I'm going to clip this onto the terminal on the left, and we're at 0 volts. Okay, so that's fine. And now we'll go to the terminal on the right, and we have, what do we got there? 0.23. So we have 230 millivolts. So we've got 1/4 of a volt or less. So basically what that tells me is we definitely have a passive sensor here, because if this was an active sensor, one of these terminals here, now mind you, the key is on, so the ignition is on. Do this with the ignition on. This would probably be more like 10, 11, 12 volts on here. So basically the computer would be sending power to the sensor. Here, our sensor, our passive, is going to make its own voltage and send that back to the computer, and it's going to read that. So now we know we can test for a passive sensor. So the next quick, easiest test to do is go to this is the sensor side here. We're going to back probe this and do a resistance check, and let's see what we get there. All right, so I switched to my real cheapo voltmeter, and if you're at home and you don't have a fancy meter, you don't need one. You can just go ahead, and these are free at Harbor Freight, or maybe $5. Anyway, here's the reason I switched is because my nicer one has alligator leads, and this one has the old pointy deal. So let's just touch these together. So there you go. That's full continuity, and just make sure it's working. So I'm going to back probe now. I could have got pins and done this, but it's just as easy for me to do this. I'm going to try to stay out of the way. So all you do is take the two leads, and we're, key's still on. We're going to back probe in here, and let's see what we get. So, hope the light's not in the way. Let me try to get out. There we go. So you see, I keep moving my leads. I don't want to spread these terminals. I'm just lightly pressing them in there. And if I can hold it still, we'll see what we got. Let's see. Okay, so we have 2.3, let's call it. So 2300 ohms is our resistance, and this is on a known good one. So what we'll do is what should we do? We could go to the other side and do a resistance check there and see what that is. We also have, I bought one already, a new one, and we can do a resistance check on that. So let's see if the new one is close to that 2.3 ohms, and we'll test the one on the left front. So I don't want to predict, but let's say we get 0 ohms here. This would be, either short. I'm going to say this. I'm talking about the speed sensor. It would be shorted. There's a coil in there wrapped around a magnet that could be shorted. There could be magnet damage. There can be a bunch of other things, but we'll talk about that later. Let's not jump the gun. Let's do some testing. So there's another way we can test if the sensor is working if you don't have the fancy scan tool. So I hope, I've got this DVOM, and I set it over to, it says here DCA. So basically it's AC voltage, not your standard direct current. So that's what like I said earlier, the sensor makes its own voltage. So what we can do is just back probe like we did before, gently putting those probes in the terminals. Let me do that for you. And then what I'll do is, it's a little more tricky, but I'm going to spin the rotor, the hub. That tone wheel will go past the sensor, and we should make voltage because we know this one's working. Okay, so let me do that. Oh, I don't think I'm in. Hold on. There we go. Hopefully you can see the meter. I know my shadow's kind of in the way, which, let me see. Let me look at the screen here. Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay. So I'm spinning it. You can probably hear it, and you see it making voltage. So jumped up to 4.5 there. So that's cool. That's a way to test it also. But the ohm test is really good on these two. If you had an oscilloscope, which I do, I'm not going to show or demonstrate that. Because it's AC, it would be a sine wave pattern, if you know anything about that. So basically it's going to go up and just keep looping like this. And the faster the wheel spins, the higher, the signal would jump. So if you have the active sensor, you're just going to have a square wave, and it's more steady. It's like off and on, depends on the north and south pole of the magnet in there, the tone ring. Anyway, we don't need to worry about that because we got the passive, and we know this sensor's good. That's just a couple different ways to test it, and let's get to the next step. All right, so we're at the bench here, and it's Napa, or depending what part of the country you're from, Napper. So a lot of my friends in New York State, New Jersey, like to say Napper. So let's open this up, because I'm pretty confident that this is going to cure our little ABS light problem. So we'll open it up, and if we're wrong, then I'll just eat it. Well, once my tooth's feeling better, or what tooth? Once my gum is healed. Got a big hole in the jaw. So here's our new sensor, and this is what we're looking at here. This is a there's a tone ring that goes in front of this. You can go look all this stuff up, and basically it works off a magnetic force or field. There's a coil in there, and it produces magnetism, which is electricity, and this is how it's monitoring it. So these can go bad. You can get dirt and grime on this. They can rust jack where this pulls away, and then you have an air gap here, the space between the tone ring. I don't happen to have one here, I don't think, where I can show you, but if this gap gets too large, then you can also get a code or an issue. So we're going to be checking all that. So what we need to do now is, we saw that was like I think it was 2.14, 2.4, something like that, ohms. I'm going to back probe this now, very lightly. Just set this gently. You don't want to spread the terminals. I've got this back probed, and we're at 2.33, something like, oops, I don't know if you can see that. So we're pretty much what the good OEM one on the right front is, and it looks OEM. It's got plenty of road dirt and grime on it. So that is definitely what we're looking for in this case on the front. So now what we want to do is go to that left front. We're going to, well, we'll do a visual inspection first. We'll look at this. We'll make sure that everything there looks kosher. And then we're going to back probe that one. Let's see what our ohm reading is then. So I popped the harness out of these little clips. They just spread open, and you pull these out just so we can test this a little easier now. It's the same as the other side as far as the 2-wire. I've got the ohm meter here on the side, sideways, just so you can see it. I hope you can, I hope the glare isn't too bad on it. But anyway, let's just check that. Let's touch the terminals here, okay? So it's working. And we're gonna back probe now and see what we get. So I'm in, and I'm wiggling, and we have a complete open circuit. That's why we're getting the fault code that we got. So our computer, our module is pretty smart. So now what we've got to do is, this is dead. We're going to take this sensor out. Let's get to that step next. Let's hope this bolt comes out. Nice. So the last guy that put this in did not go ballistic and over tighten this sucker. So all right, that's cool. This is just a small little bolt. Oop, all right, there we go. Here's this little bolt. So now that's out. Let me grab a pair of pliers. Unfortunately, I can't get a screwdriver behind here, so we're gonna have to use a pair of pliers and see if we can twist this guy out. Probably gonna snap. I don't know. Well, it's moving a little bit. I'm just gonna be gentle with it. This is kind of like my tooth extraction the other day. Same tools, basically. Let me, it's moving a little bit, but not much. Let me spray it with a little PB. Can't hurt. See if that'll get in there. You never know, we can get lucky. Worst comes to worst, I'll have to pull the rotor. And then, we'll break this off, or it will break. And then we can get it out that way. Oh, come on, baby. Come on. Just gonna give it a little wiggly and a little spray all at the same time. Try to get that fluid down in there. Come on. Oh, that sucker's tight. Very tight. All right, I'm gonna wiggle and pull. Hopefully not, I'm gonna put on a glove, because I can tell you right now, I'm in enough pain. So when my hand smashes against that rusty radius arm, at least I can avoid some difficulty. Let's put it that way. All right. So I'm gonna wiggle and pull. I'm gonna start yanking on a sucker. I think it's coming. There it goes. Beautiful. Nice. All right. So there it is. It's got some rust on it, but this thing is kaputt, as they say in German. All
Alright, I'm going to clean up this penetrant and stuff a little bit. Just put a little brake clean on there. And let's see. Let me see if I can get you a shot. I don't know if you'll be able to see in there. You might be able to. Maybe you can see that tone ring. Yeah, there it is. Let me see if I can get you zoomed in. Let's see. Can you see them in there? Way back in there. See those notches? Oop, hold on. Let's see. There you go. All right, so there's those notches. And if I spun the rotor right now, those would start moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to visually inspect in that hole while I spin the, yeah, it's definitely on the rotor. And I'm looking at the teeth to make sure nothing's damaged or split. They can't get damaged. The tone ring itself is not that rusty. It's actually in pretty decent shape. So everything looks good in there. So let me clean that hole up a little bit, and that's what she said, and we'll get the new one in. Hopefully that'll fit well. So I've got a round file here. I'm just going to gently, there's some scale on that. Knock it loose. Just to get some crud off there. And what you want to make sure is on the surface that this is flat, because there's plenty of videos out there on these things rust jacking on the surface here. So that wasn't the problem in this case, but a little anti-sneeze can help you out if you do have that problem. Let me get a screwdriver here and just scrape this. I just want to make sure it's not bad at all. It's just a little bit. You can take some sandpaper or you got one of those little grinder wheel deals. There we go. Just make sure that that's flat. And I'm going to put a little silicone grease on this actually. Let me do that right now. Let me actually dry fit the other sensor, the new sensor. Now what I did notice is it looks very much like that aftermarket, but it has a different harness. Like this is shiny rubber. It doesn't have that that weird rubber that had, and this one has a whole different code number. So let's see. Let me turn this upside down like this. Let's just dry fit for a second. Yeah, that looks like it'll fit. It should twist in there fine. Let me lube her up a little bit. See if I can get my fat finger in there. This is just silicone grease or dielectric grease, same thing. I'll just put that on there. That's good. How long it'll last, I don't know, but it's better than nothing. So now all we got to do is get our little bolt, get our sensor, give her a little twisty, and then she goes. Hopefully, right? And make sure that sits all the way down in there before you bolt it down. And I'm pretty sure that's it right there. Let me see. I need that light. Well, it's pretty good. Now, I'm going to get crazy and just give it a little tap at the base, just to make sure it's seated. I'm not hitting this hard, don't get me wrong. Okay, we definitely don't want that. And it looks tight. Alrighty. Now we got to line up our bolt hole. Take a small screwdriver. I'm just lining up the threads. I'm going to spin this thing a little bit. It needs to go right about there. Okay. In fact, let me grab my pliers. I just want to make sure. I want to give it a little twist and pressure in. You want to make sure this thing's tight. All right. Bolt lines up nice. And all we need to do is put the harness back in these clips. I'll show you that in case you didn't get it the first time. I got a 1/4 inch extension here, ratchet 3-inch extension on my 1/4 inch drive for the 5/16 socket. And we're not going to go gorilla on this. You could put some anti-seize on this bolt too. Probably wouldn't hurt. I'm going to go lightly snug. 5 pounds, whatever, 10. Then let's take our harness and start feeding that in. Come on. All right, so here's how we feed these in here like this. So basically, these little tabs, you just push this down in there, and then of course it's opposite when you. I might need 2 hands. Damn, this thing's pretty tight. All right, I may have to put the camera down. Come on, baby. Not enough thumb pressure today. Anyway, you can see how. Hopefully it didn't shake too much. How these go in. Let me put the camera down. You just spread these little posts out, and then they just snap. They don't even snap. They just slip in there. They just slide in right along the brake line. Come on. That one's being a little difficult. So that's it. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one is right over here on a metal bracket. And then we'll get this last one in. Sometimes it's a struggle. Life can be challenging at times, right? Now, all we do is come over here to our harness, and then this should just line up real nice, hopefully. Yep. Looks like we got the right one. And then there's a little slot back here. Oh boy, can you see what I'm doing? Right here. Ouch. Oh man. Here we go. All right. Life and times of a YouTuber, I'm telling you. So getting that camera angle, it matters. You got this slot in the frame, and this little doohickey back here just fits in there. That male piece goes right in there. Let me just hold this. Let's just make it easy. So we'll put that right in place. Now, what I want to do is go into the van. Let's, I'm not even put the wheel on yet. Let's just start it and hook up the scan tool and see what we got. Just turned on the ignition. There's our ABS lights there. Let's hope that can go out. We'll have to reset the code, and then we'll take it for a test drive. So I've got the scan tool set up here. So the light's still on. Obviously it, oh, wait a minute, blinked once. Not sure what that means. Let's see here. Diagnosis. Now I tried clearing that code, and the problem I had was, that ABS light would come right back on. So let's go to ABS. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Oh, look, oh, it's blinking now. So I'm not sure what it's going through. Read codes. It's doing some kind of self-check. I hear the ABS. I guess as it's diagnosing, it's trying to do its thing here. It's doing some kind of self-test. Okay, the right front is now on there because we disconnected it and had the ignition on. So let's do this. Let's clear the codes. And the thing was, when I tried to clear the codes before with this left front, engine on, ignition on, engine off, no it's not. Okay, there you go, ignition is on, engine off, yes. Yep. What was I saying? So that's why it actually, codes have been successfully erased. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go to read codes, make sure everything should be out of there. Now, when I try to reset that ABS before,
that light would come on automatically. So it's doing a test. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it's actuating the ABS module. No codes detected. Okay, so that's good. And the ABS light is off. Let's start it. Let's see, that went out. So that's good. So what I'll do now is I'm gonna put that wheel on, and we'll take this big bad boy down the road for some fun, and we'll monitor those speed sensors now and see what we get. All right, we're going on our maiden voyage with our new speed sensor. So the ABS light is off. It's getting dark. We're going on our sundown test drive here. It's only 5:15. It's December 30th, 2019. So it's getting dark early. Anyway, here's our scan information. Once again, we're looking at that top graph, the left front wheel speed sensor. And hopefully this time, when we get down the road, at least we see some kind of activity. So actually, let me slow this down real quick. I'm going a little fast there, I think. There we go. We'll see what we get. Hopefully we'll see some activity on that left front this time. And I already see it. It's, what is it, 6 or 8? Yep, 10, good. It's reading what the others are reading now. Beautiful. We have a fix. I'll take it up to 60. I don't want to go too fast. This thing's got a dry rotted right rear tire bad. And I don't need that headache either today, so. There's some higher speed action. Everything's working good. Beautiful, no dropouts. We good. Okay, so if you're testing a variable reluctance passive wheel speed sensor, I hope this video has helped you out. You know, here's the one that we pulled out, and oop, focus there. There we go. And some things that you probably should look for before you just condemn it. You know, obviously the testing is the best part. If you got the fancy scan tool, that's really helpful. But some things that can go wrong, you can get debris built up on the tip here, on the sensor. There can be, this could get damaged. There's a coil in here that could go open or get shorted out. There's magnets in there that can go bad. Obviously you can get a cut wire. Or even corrosion in the connector. So these are all different things to check out. You have the tone ring. If the tone ring rusts or gets debris in it, or if they can even crack or split, of course that's going to throw everything off, make the computer go crazy. So anyway, I hope the video was helpful to you. Thanks for checking it out. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click that big red subscribe button. Smash the thumbs up. This happens to be December 31st. It's New Year's Eve 2019. You'll probably be seeing this in the new year. So I want to wish all you folks a happy 2020, healthy 2020, and a prosperous 2020. So thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. It's really fun to interact with the YouTube community here. So other than that, I'm going to I'm going to stop rambling, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.